Picture this, you're looking at grainy thermal footage. In the dead of night, a small boat is cutting through the waves on the open ocean. And then, out of nowhere, a silent, brilliant white flash from above. The boat and everyone on it just vanishes. High above the Pacific, something is watching. It's not a person, it's a robotic sentinel. And it has just carried out the 39th strike of its kind.
That flash happened on February 9th, 2026. 2 men were killed in what the military calls a lethal kinetic strike, which is just military speak for getting hit with a missile. The order came straight from the top, from a brand new general, Francis L. Donovan. But to really get what this one moment means, we have to pull back the curtain on a whole new kind of war, one being fought completely in the shadows. So let's break down what is really going on here.
All right, here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to start with the architect, the general calling the shots. Then we'll look at the ledger, the very real human cost. After that, the stakes, and why it might really be all about oil. We'll uncover the ghost in the machine, the incredible robotic tech behind this. And finally, we'll ask what this all means for what's become the new normal, a forever war at sea.
Okay, first up, to understand what's happening out on the water, you first have to understand the major shakeup that just happened inside the Pentagon. It really does all start with the man who gave the order.
So, everything changed with a leadership swap at U.S. Southern Command. The outgoing commander, Admiral Alvin Halsey, was reportedly pushed into retirement. Why? Because he clashed with the Secretary of Defense over the ethics of these very strikes. In his place, you get General Francis Donovan. He's a Marine Special Ops veteran, and he came in with a crystal-clear mission from the White House, a total strategic pivot to the Western Hemisphere. The message was loud and clear. The old rules are out the window.
So you're probably asking, how is this even legal? Well, it all hinges on this very specific and deeply controversial legal term, unlawful combatant. The targets are officially called narco-terrorists, but this legal designation is what matters. Now, if that term rings a bell, it should. It's the same one used for detainees at Guantanamo Bay. And what it does is effectively remove a person from the entire legal system. It allows for the use of lethal force with no trial, no evidence, and no warning.
And that, of course, brings us to the most sobering part of this story. Because beyond the generals and the legal frameworks, there is a very real, very tragic human cost to all of this. 130. That's the number. In just a few months since Operation Southern Spear kicked off in late 2025, that is the official body count. It's a silent war, but it's racking up casualties so quickly that it's starting to attract some very intense scrutiny from human rights groups.
And a big reason for that scrutiny is a deeply disturbing tactic. Whistleblower videos have allegedly surfaced that appear to show survivors of an initial strike, men clinging to debris in the ocean, being targeted by a second strike. In military circles, this is known as a double tap. The goal is chillingly simple: ensure total destruction and leave no one behind to tell the tale.
Now, most legal experts will tell you, flat out, that targeting someone who is incapacitated and in the water is a potential violation of the Geneva Convention, a possible war crime. But the administration has a counterargument. They say these men are not soldiers, so the conventions of war don't apply. By labeling them terrorist facilitators, they argue these individuals exist outside the normal rules of engagement, and therefore outside the protection of international law.
But there is another story emerging. It's coming from families in Colombia and Ecuador who are now filing official complaints. They're saying their loved ones weren't narco-terrorists at all. They claim they were just fishermen, ordinary men trying to make a living, who were in the wrong place at the wrong time and got caught in the crossfire of a superpower's high-tech war. So if this is so controversial, if the targets themselves are being disputed, why is this happening? To answer that, you have to zoom out. You have to look past the small boats and see the massive geopolitical chess game being played. Because it turns out, this might not really be about drugs at all.
Just look at this timeline. Suddenly, the pieces start to click into place. September 2025, Operation Southern Spear begins. A few months later, in a pretty stunning move, U.S. Special Forces capture Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro. Then, just 1 month after that, we have this 39th so-called anti-narco strike. You see? These aren't isolated incidents. They're all connected moves in a much, much larger strategy. Here's the official objective, according to Washington, to cut off the money for what they're calling the cartel of the suns. The argument is that the Maduro regime and the powerful drug cartels have basically merged into one criminal enterprise. So by sinking these boats, they say they're doing more than stopping drugs. They're choking off the entire revenue stream, illicit oil, narcotics, you name it, that keeps the remnants of that regime alive.
And this strategy is going global. The Secretary of Defense recently announced an oil quarantine, not in the Caribbean, but halfway around the world in the Indian Ocean. And just the other day, 2 U.S. destroyers boarded a sanctioned oil tanker they had tracked all the way from Venezuela. Let's call this what it is. We are watching a modern, high-tech, global naval blockade take shape in real time.
So that leads to the big question, right? How is any of this even possible? The ocean is enormous. How can the U.S. military find one tiny boat in millions of square miles of open water, day in and day out? The answer? Well, it lies with a revolutionary new kind of force.
Meet the hybrid fleet. It's not a single machine, it's a whole network of them. You have unmanned, wind-powered sail drones that can patrol the ocean for months, acting as constant eyes and ears. You have autonomous interceptor boats, USVs, that can zoom in for a closer look. You've got vertical takeoff drones, VTOLs, providing eyes from the sky. And the brain that connects it all is a powerful AI that's constantly scanning for the dark fleet that's any ship trying to go invisible by turning off its transponder.
So here's how the kill chain works, put simply. First, a sail drone gets a ping on a vessel that's gone dark. Second, the AI analyzes its movements. If it starts making a specific zigzag pattern that smugglers are known to use, it gets flagged. Third, that data is zapped instantly to a nearby asset with weapons, like a drone or a destroyer. And finally, the crucial fourth step, a human operator sitting in a command center thousands of miles away looks at the data and gives the final order. The machine finds the target, but a human still pulls the trigger.
So, when you put all these pieces together, the new general, the controversial legal justification, the global chess match over oil, and this futuristic robotic technology, a clear picture of a brand new kind of conflict starts to form.
This is the new normal. It's a state of constant, undeclared conflict. It's not fought on a traditional battlefield. It's fought in the gray zone of international waters. That's the space where you're not technically at war, but you're definitely not at peace. It's a strategic blurring of the lines between policing and warfare, and it is fundamentally changing how a superpower projects its power across the globe. Which leaves us with the one central question that hangs over this entire operation. With 130 people dead and a global fleet of robots enforcing a blockade, are we just watching the necessary, effective evolution of national defense for the 21st century, or is this the dawn of a new and dangerous era of extrajudicial war on the high seas, one where judge, jury, and executioner are replaced by an algorithm and an operator's keystroke?